take at item 8. I'll bring in Julie for the sediment and apologies. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Provost, and good morning, members. Provost Claire Leach.
Here.
I have an apology from Councillor Stephen Canning. Councillor Ellen Friel.
I'm here, Julie. Thank you.
I have an apology from Councillor John McFadden. Deputy Provost John McGee.
Here.
Councillor Caroline Barton.
Here, thanks.
Councillor Elaine Cowan.
Here.
Councillor David Richardson.
Present, Julie.
Thank you. Councillor James Adams.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Ian Linton.
Here.
Councillor Douglas Sheet.
Here.
Councillor Jane Sangster.
Here, Julie. Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Graham Barton.
Here, thanks, Julie.
Councillor Graham Boyd.
Here, thanks, Julie.
Thank you. Councillor Barry Douglas.
Good morning, Julie. I'm here.
Good morning. Councillor Neil Ingram.
Here, thanks, Julie.
Councillor Peter Maben.
Good morning, Julie.
Morning. Councillor Claire Maitland.
Here, Julie.
Thank you. Councillor Jim Todd.
Here.
Councillor Beverley Clark.
Here.
Thank you. Councillor Sally Cogley.
Here.
Councillor Kevin McGregor.
Here, thank you.
Councillor Linda Maben.
Here, Julie. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor William Lennox.
I'm here, thanks.
Councillor Alison Simmons.
Here.
I have an apology from Councillor Billy Crawford. Councillor June Kyle.
Present, Julie.
Thank you. Councillor Jim McMahon.
Here, Julie, thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Neil Watts.
Good morning, Julie. I'm here.
Good morning. I have an apology from Councillor Drew Filson. Councillor Jennifer Hogg. And Councillor James Kyle.
Here, thank you.
Thanks, members.
Julie, thank you very much. Members, if you will indulge me, I've got a few more than usual Provost remarks given the recess that's happened. And I know I've saw many of you throughout the recess at many of these events. I do hope some of you got a wee bit of a break. So starting with, going back to June, wow. Thursday the 18th of June, had a great wee evening at the Learning Disability Showcase at the Student Area Centre. It was absolutely packed and there was such a buzz throughout the evening. This is an annual event organised by the Learning Disability Partnership. It's such a special event that gives children, young people and adults with a learning disability the chance to take to the stage and shine. I can honestly say that hand in heart, every performance was genuinely amazing. I can't believe the photographer caught that picture too. I was getting taught and she was teaching me how to dance, so that was good. Next was Sunday the 28th of June. It had a brilliant evening at East Ayrshire Youth Theatre's Patchwork Cabaret at the Big Top at the Dean Castle. Talented bunch of young people. Every performance was fantastic. There was a mix of songs for well-known artists and musicals, including Legally Blonde, Heathers and Hamilton. A young person's rendition of You'll Be Back for Hamilton was one of my highlights. I'm a big fan of that musical. I love Hamilton, so I thought it was genuinely immense. The story behind the production was amazing. It was a wonderful tribute to the textile team, who were previously based at the Dean Castle. Their creativity and skill are truly remarkable, and I know that firsthand through the beautiful work I've seen them produce. They even created the velvet collar for my chain at office. I don't think it was ever made for a woman. It was just a really thoughtful addition that makes it more comfortable to wear. Their addition to detail and craftsmanship really are second to none. So it was great to see the meaning and to see the youth theatre weave stories of the textile team throughout the production, recognising and celebrating the work and the people behind it. And it was also really nice that they both share the same birthdays together and that they were celebrating. Bringing together different generations through creativity, music and storytelling made the whole production even more powerful and memorable. So a huge congratulations to everyone involved. And it was the Robert Burns World Federation First Edition Festival. This was going from the 18th to the 28th of July. And I was honoured to once again serve as the chieftain for the First Edition Festival in Kilmarnock. The festival programme showcased the very best of Burns heritage and Scottish culture, with a fantastic range of events that brought people together from across Ayrshire and beyond. Highlights included the alternative Burns supper, the best haggis in Ayrshire competition. That is not a wholesome competition, by the way. It's quite challenging. It was brilliant to see butchers from across Ayrshire put in for that. My chieftain's gala dinner and the commemoration of the first edition. There were so many talented performers, organisers, volunteers and supporters contributing to the success of the festival and helping keep the Burns legacy alive in the town where the Kilmarnock edition was published. My thanks need to go to Laurie Headley and Jean Abdul-Rahim and everyone involved in making the festival a success. Hard work, dedication and passion made this year another great event. It was such an honour to be your chieftain. During the recess, I awarded two worthy recipients with civic recognition. First was Scott Montgomery. This was on the 7th of August. I know many of you members do know Scott and what an outstanding man he is. So my congratulations had to go to Scott Montgomery of the Killie community. I was delighted to award civic recognition following his success in winning Employee of the Year at Scottish Charity Awards 2026. Scottish National Award celebrates far more than his personal achievement. It reflects the care, resilience and kindness he shows to everyone who walks through the doors of the Killie community. His story does demonstrate the role of the third sector and how vital they are, the unique ability of football to bring people together, and the real difference that community-based support can make to people's lives. I thoroughly deserve recognition for someone whose dedication continues to have a positive impact in so many people across our communities. Second recognition that I gave was for Shortleys Amateur Football Club. Again, congratulations to them. They have had an absolute belter of a year. They lifted the Scottish Amateur Cup at Hampden in May. They scored 200 goals in 40 games. They also won the Budget Blinds Premier League, the Ayrshire Cup and the James Scott Trophy. They're valuable and brilliant role models for young people, demonstrating the value of teamwork, perseverance and ambition. A very big well done to everyone at Shortleys Amateurs Football Club, and we wish them continued success in years ahead. Sunday, the 16th of August, I had the pleasure of opening Wood Road Park Fun Day in Kilmarnock, and what a brilliant day it was, and I'm so glad it stopped raining too. I was walking the dogs that morning thinking, really hope it stops raining, so brilliant. The Fun Day was bigger than ever this year. There was more stalls, activities, food outlets and attractions right across the park. There was a real buzz for the moment local band Perfume opened the entertainment. They're a group of really talented young people and they perform a mix of their own music and covers, and they're genuinely so good. So for the early stage was packed with performances throughout the day, ensuring there really was something for everybody. And it was great to see so many families, friends and members of the community coming together and making the most of everything on offer on that Fun Day. But events like this don't just happen overnight, as we all know. They're a great reminder of the community spirit that exists across Kilmarnock. A huge thank you to the Wood Road Park Events Group, Kilmarnock Action Plan and the Wood Road and District Roundtable for the tremendous amount of work that goes into organising an event of this scale. The dedication, hard work and commitment are very appreciated by the local community. It was great to see people enjoying themselves and had off a good wee day. Ethan Chan. We've got a picture of Ethan Chan. No. Oh, Ethan's awesome. Okay, so many of you might have seen on social media. I really want to mention Ethan Chan, who is of the Grange Academy. He's achieved 9 advanced higher passes in one sitting, resulting in 7 A grades and 2 Bs. This means Ethan has beaten the previous Scottish record at 8 passes. Wow. I've met Ethan on a couple of occasions through Young Musician of the Year. He's a self-taught pianist and he's incredible. So as well as his academic achievements, he's just undoubtedly got a really bright future ahead of him. So Ethan, you've not only done yourself, but East Ayrshire very proud and we're wishing you the very best moving on to your future when you go to do mechanical engineering at university. Finally, members, before I move on, I'd like to take a moment just to say a few words about my chosen charity. I'm very pleased to announce that I will continue supporting East Ayrshire Young Carers as my chosen charity for the remainder of my term, through to May next year. I want to sincerely thank everybody who has supported the charity so far, whether by attending events, donating, or simply just helping raise awareness of young carers. Your support really is immensely appreciated. During my time as Provost, I've been privileged to learn more about these truly remarkable young folk. Their compassion, their resilience and maturity are extraordinary, and they deserve to know that the community really sees, values and supports them. Between now and May, I hope we can continue to raise funds and awareness, ensuring that as many young people as possible know that support is available for them. And I'd like to personally thank Joe McLaughlin for his assistance and coming to meetings with me. We make a good wee team, so thank you, Joe. Really look forward to seeing what more we can achieve together. Well, members, thank you very much for your indulgence and all that. But now moving on to business proper. Members, this is declarations of interest. As always, you'll know your own situations. Councillor Douglas.
Thank you, Provost. In respect of item 5, no, I've lost it now. 5, for delivering civic pride, I note in the papers that there's obviously consultation with the trade unions. I'm a member of the GMB. Thank you, but I don't think it's a significant declaration that would stop me from taking part today. Thank you.
Yep, noted. Thank you. Councillor Linda Maben.
Thanks, Provost. As Councillor Douglas, I'm a member of Unite. I'm also chair of the East Ayrshire Trade Union Council. So the same declaration. Thanks.
Yep, noted. Thank you. Councillor Peter Maben.
No surprise, it's the same declaration of a member of Unite and GMB. I'm chair of the Ayrshire Unite Activist Committee.
All the things. Noted. Thank you. Deputy Provost.
For transparency, Provost, I'm a member of Unite the Union.
Yep, noted. Thanks, Julie, for scribbling all these down. Councillor Sangster.
Yeah, just the same. Just a transparency declaration. I am a member of Unite the Union. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McGregor.
Surprise, surprise, also just a declaration of transparency that as a trade union member of Unison. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Members, we okay? Online? Yep. Okay. Moving on. Agenda item 2, this is submit for approval as a correct record at the council meeting of the 25th of June, and I will submit as a correct record.
Second that, Provost.
Thank you, Deputy Provost. Is there any corrections or questions on the minutes? Okay, happy to approve. Thank you. Moving on, this is the Cabinet Committee minutes. This is submit for approval as a correct record. Any recommendations contained there within, this is with the exception of the minutes of the Integration Joint Board, Economic Joint Committee, which are here for noting only. Councillor Reid.
Move as a correct record, Provost.
Thank you, Leader. Yep.
Second that,
Thank you,
Provost.
Deputy Leader. Is there any corrections?
Second that, Provost.
Yep. Thank you, Deputy Leader. Okay, Leader.
Just in terms of notes for noting, but as you mentioned there, the Ayrshire Economic Joint Committee, but just like to note to thank officers. I think at the recent meeting it was acknowledged that East Ayrshire are ahead of the curve here in terms of leading and actually delivery. You know, and that's not just, we can see in Moorfield, which is really coming out the ground at pace, which has led to interest from private sector and other phases of I don't know whether it's commercially sensitive yet, but I know there's a lot of local interest and there's been a lot of developments in some of the other phases. And it's really quite exciting to see how that development has influenced other private sector investment in the Moorfield area. Also, can I just say, I'm delighted to be down at Woodrow Park in Kilmarnock just to see the two bright orange electric vehicles that are now available through our partners in the 9cc, the core project, where people out down in the Kilmarnock district can lease a vehicle, parts of our community, and that's all part of the Ayrshire growth deal. I don't think that's been acknowledged as such, but I think it needs a bit of credit to the people down there that are actually delivering this, and it's great to see projects come out of the ground and benefiting the community. Thanks, Provost.
Yep, thank you, Leader. Certainly a bright orange, but like you say, a great thing for so many people rurally to have the use of those. Any more questions, corrections? Everybody good? Agreed? Thank you, members. Okay, so we are moving on to agenda item number 4. This is the Kilmarnock Town Centre Regeneration, a shared vision and concept master plan for 2040. Members, I have had many people contact me, so can I just remind each of you that when you're going to speak, all I ask is for you to keep it clear, concise and to the point, or I'll rein you back in a wee bit, but with very much respect, okay? And I'll pass to Joe to take us through the report. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Provost. Good morning, members. So, as Provost said, this is the shared vision and the concept master plan through to 2040. It's a document that marks the next phase and a step change in our ambition for Kilmarnock Town Centre. It recognises that, as reports go, this one is not necessarily just compiled by officers' views, but instead has been built upon the comments and observations made through the 21 meetings of the Kilmarnock Strategic Group, the 4 meetings of the Kilmarnock Task Force, the 17 meetings of the Kilmarnock Neighbourhood Board and Pride and Place Board, and it sets out the priorities and the investments through those meetings too. It also recognises that our partners are also involved in this. Grateful to colleagues in Scottish Water. We'll hear shortly about their work to support us in our water strategy. But Kilmarnock Football Club too. You'll hear shortly, members, about how we're going to articulate that vision and what that vision is for Kilmarnock for the next 14 years. It's based on 6 key interconnected themes, and it builds upon not just those official stakeholder meetings, but also hundreds of views that have been gathered from young people and from residents and communities of interest, and they're detailed at paragraph 19. The document before you today will be delivered in 3 phases. There are timelines attached to those phases. Those timelines can move back and forth depending on the scale of change and the interest we receive from external inward investors. It sends a clear message that we're open for business, and as a council we stand ready to support inward investors in our town centre today and for the future. We recognise that there are projects already in delivery, and in doing so note that the Poets' Corner has been completed, but that one of the recommendations before you today relates to Foregate Square, which is moving at pace, and today we ask not for you just to agree the consultation period, but also to allow us to award the contract to commence Foregate Square. We note the work that's taken place and will continue to take place in terms of the repurposing and retrofit panel, an important piece of work to try and bring those disused commercial properties back into use. And we note with pride and with appreciation the work of the Kilmarnock Town Board and their funding of £20 million, and how that sits alongside your £100 million that builds a substantial fund to progress and deliver this shared division. In terms of communication and consultation, we ask that starts on Monday and will run for 6 weeks, be guided by the principles of the United Nations Convention on Rights of the Child, making it easy to understand and easy to engage with. Engagement HQ is our engagement platform that will be used, but also be assured, members, that face-to-face meetings will also take place. We have convened, and colleagues have kindly agreed to accept, meetings of the Kilmarnock Town Board next week, the steering group and the task force, all meeting to discuss the report before you today and to invite them to engage in that consultation process. And so, members, I'll pass across to Pamela and to Siobhan, who will take us through our concept vision and master plan through to 2040. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Joe. I'm going to provide the context of why we're here in terms of the master plan and also in terms of the shared vision, and then I'll pass on to my colleague, Siobhan McGale, who'll take you through the document and just the high-level opportunities. So in terms of the sort of vision, it's a vision for 14 years to 2040. It's not just a planning document. It's a document for investment and also to lever in funding. So this time, we're doing it differently on that. So it's also having the community at the heart of it. And Joe has outlined the consultation that we've done to date, and we're going back out on Monday to do further consultation. It's a statement of intent, and it's full of ambition and boldness, but also it's driven by opportunities. So just a general context. So the townscape that we deal with at present has largely been geared by the Percy Johnson Marshall era. So this is the first master plan in over 50 years on that. So the Percy Johnson Marshall era left us with big box retailing and was very much driven by the car. And this has shaped our town centre going forward. So in terms of going forward, we all know that there has been a shift in shopping habits, and there's also differing working patterns. Therefore, we need to look at our town centre differently, and it needs to adapt. The public is wanting a different town experience. They're wanting more bespoke, artisan businesses, and also experience-led services. So, a shared vision. This is at the heart of the master plan on that. It's based on collaboration and partnership, but also it is our direction of travel, our roadmap, it's our anchor in terms of common purpose and guiding everyday decisions. It's something that we will come back to in the next 14 years and hopefully beyond. We're trying to create a vibrant, accessible and sustainable town, which is connecting people and place, but celebrating that heritage that we have, that rich heritage we have in Kilmarnock Town Centre, but also embracing town centre living, something that we need to take forward. It's also strengthening blue and green networks. But also what is very important is our master plan has to be flexible. So it deals with changing circumstances that we'll have in the next 14 years, as well as different community needs. So I'm going to pass over to Siobhan, who's going to take you through the document.
Thanks, Pamela. So just picking up on Pamela said, so our approach, the Vision and Concept Master Plan, a new chapter 2040, has really been informed by years of ambition and research. So the team that's taken this forward has had a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of research from a lot of people over the years, and we would really like to give recognition to that and thank everybody for their passion and effort over the years. How we're taking it forward is in a really focused approach in terms of action, delivery and ambition. So this is a step change from what we've done before. So our aim and aspirations is really to deliver a master plan, but also at the same time concurrently deliver projects. So for this to be successful, what we've looked to do is a 5-stage approach to this. The first part of that would be a phased approach, as alluded to in the report. This is going to be delivered on a phased basis. So phase 1 projects will essentially be projects that we're currently delivering, but also projects that are in our control to deliver. And that's kind of on a basis of 0 currently and to 2 years. For phase 2 projects, this is projects that we think we can achieve, but may have some complexities and will need private sector investment and partnership working. And phase 3 are really our aspirational projects that have came out of a lot of consultation today, a lot of urban analysis, but really setting that long-term goal and ambition for Kilmarnock. And we'll definitely need that partnership working to deliver. From the outset of the master planning process, there's been a lot of involvement to date. We really set out from the beginning that we wanted to learn from others. And this is really important, I think, in terms of a master planning process, to ensure that we are staying informed throughout the process, that we're not working in silos, and that we're really building networks in terms of the best expert knowledge that is out there on a national and international level. We've managed to achieve this to date through the Be Inspired programme, and that's something that we're going to look to continue as we progress through the master planning process. A place-based approach, we really want the community to be at the heart of this, the community voice, and making sure that the community feels empowered, but also celebrating what are the unique characteristics of our place. Policy-led policy has really been embedded into this vision document, and really that's to make sure that we're looking at the bigger picture, that we're targeting that local, regional and national policies and delivering on that in our outcomes. There are so many social, economic and environmental challenges we need to be aware of, and the master plan will take cognizance of that. And finally, an evidence-based approach. So we've had a team in the background as well that's been building up a wealth of evidence and knowledge and urban analysis that will inform the master plan and inform our decision makings for projects as we move forward. Just waiting. Apologies, the slides. So, in terms of our approach, we have a very defined area of study in terms of our master plan. This has followed the LDP2 guidance and boundary, really to ensure that we have a focused approach in terms of project delivery and that we have a concentrated area that will deliver impact. You'll see in the map as well that we have certain highlighted areas in red, and that came out of a lot of consultation to date, that these are areas that we think we need to focus our research, but also there'll be some response in terms of connectivity, town centre living and parking as well. So that's just a kind of overview of the area that we're looking to develop the master plan. What we've also done is overlaid that area boundary into key zones. So picking up on really the work that's been done to date in terms of that cultural quarter zone to the east, but also looking at our parks, potentially having their own distinctive character and master plans. You have the area to the north in terms of the education and innovation areas. And then what we've done is basically dissected the town centre into north, central and south. This will just really to help us to inform the team as we move forward in terms of how we address different planning issues. So our key themes. This diagram really shows the key themes that we've been taking forward throughout the process. And I think the key point here is they are all interconnected. They all have the same importance. So sense of place really at the core, with connectivity, town centre living, vacant buildings, retail and business development, heritage, leisure and public realm, and that overarching climate change strategy. And that really transpires into this diagram here of how we look to deliver that. So having your key work streams, sense of place and climate really are overarching themes and will be embedded and interconnected into each of the projects as we deliver them in a phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 process. So, moving on to really the ambition for each of these themes and what we look to deliver. And this has really been based on a lot of consultation today, as has been stated in the report. So what do we mean by a sense of place? It's about a town that gets the basics right, a clean and well-maintained town centre that the community can feel proud of, a town that embraces digital transformation and seasonal event planning, a town that has enhanced wayfinding and supports public art. Overall, it's about a collaborative effort between public, private and third-party sectors working together to build pride in place again. Building on this, there's been a lot of feedback that Kilmarnock has a significant opportunity to become one of Scotland's leading children and young persons friendly towns, and this is something we've incorporated into the ambition. Together, we want to create a town where young people feel safe, welcomed, valued and inspired to spend their time. So moving on to an important theme of climate change. So designing for climate change is going to be fundamental in terms of the legacy that we leave for future generations. We've established that we want a town that is designed to celebrate and work with water and green spaces and promote biodiversity. A town that prioritises the net zero agenda and does so with a focus on recycling, repurposing and retrofit. And you can see from these images here that design can play an important role in this in terms of making our town centre attractive but also functional. Trees can help alleviate that urban heating that we're starting to see in terms of rising temperatures with climate change. Biodiversity, increased planting can help with natural drainage and increasing your biodiversity response within the town centre. So overall, it's a balance between attractiveness and functional aspirations. A water vision. So this came out of a lot of the work in the consultations that we've done to date. And we're proposing a water vision for Kilmarnock as a new way of thinking about how we manage water within the town centre. Instead of water and flooding being seen as a constraint that needs to be overcome, we can reframe it in a positive way by developing design solutions that meet our environmental and place-making objectives. Developing a water vision would bring significant benefit in terms of drainage impact pressures and improving Kilmarnock's surface permeability while increasing town centre biodiversity. What we've really established is that partnership working will be key in this in terms of how we engage with SEPA and Scottish Water going forward, and the team has already started work in that respect. So really what the message was, let's bring people back to the water, ensuring Kilmarnock no longer turns its back on the river. Connectivity, a connected town. So let's drive forward a connected town where we celebrate and create attractive gateways to the town centre and working with the right partners to do so. Let's develop a connected town where active travel is at the heart of it. A town that's parking friendly and simple to navigate for pedestrians, cars and cyclists. And you can see from this image as well of the advantages of master planning, where you're taking a very coordinated approach. You're bringing in the proposals for the infinity loop, but at the same time you're making sure that the infrastructure for green networks and drainage strategies are all combined and coordinated as we move forward. A connected town in terms of delivering active travel and a mobility hub. As alluded to in the report, the Foregate Civic Square will provide these facilities, a place where people can rest, shop, retreat and reroute. A connected town in terms of walkable town, so improved connections and wayfinding between the train station, the bus station, public realms, parks and civic buildings. In doing this, we can create accessible routes where we've got increased footfall coming into the town centre and increased footfall as well to local businesses. With the introduction of the Palace Theatre and Grand Hall, we see an increase in footfall in that area, and how do we make that accessible and safe for people coming into our town centre? Heritage, leisure and public realm, so delivering bespoke master plans for our parks. And we want to do this for Howard Park and Key Park, and we really feel this is a way for us to begin to activate and enhance the beauty of our natural landscapes. So there's opportunities to celebrate the rich heritage of these parks, but also to allow them to develop their own distinct character as we move forward. Temporary interventions. So let's enhance our public realm spaces and use temporary interventions to help work with local communities to test new ideas at a relatively low cost prior to full investment. Overall, it's important to develop public spaces for our communities and shaped by our communities and their needs. And temporary interventions are a good way to start to build that trust with the public in terms of early impact. Let's celebrate our heritage buildings. The historic Wallace Chambers will be repurposed as an open, accessible heritage and research facility that focuses on industrial heritage and celebrating digital technology through immersive experiences. And from these images, you can also see the ambition that we have for seasonal event planning that links in to our heritage of Kilmarnock. The Dick Institute, under the new vision, Its spaces will be optimised to host flagship permanent displays, high-profile temporary exhibitions, and ensuring our heritage archive can be fully displayed for all to see. Let's celebrate and invest in our beautiful built heritage. Sports and leisures will be a key aspect of the master plan, developing opportunities to enhance footfall within the town centre while promoting health and wellbeing and family fun for all ages. The Galleon and overall sports and leisure are critical in creating a thriving, diverse and mixed-use town centre. Town centre living is a key theme that has been spoken about nationally in terms of master planning, and one that we're looking to deliver and working on currently. So in terms of town centre living, we want to first focus on what is existing. So in terms of existing residents, the first ambition is to make it a better place for people who are already call it home. Safe, welcoming, walkable and inclusive neighbourhoods where you can live well at every stage of life. What are our existing buildings and what do we currently have and what could be currently utilised for town centre retrofit? Tying in again with that climate strategy. So town centre living. So we have a number of sites that with Architecture and Design Scotland we've been selected as a pilot to take a design-led model forward. And really the work behind that is to try and make sites that are currently unviable, viable. Partnership working is absolutely critical to the town centre living part of the master plan, and focus on delivery. So what we're saying for town centre living, we're going to need a diverse range of housing types, but quality is going to be at the heart of town centre living, quality housing, and also care and attention to the robust care and maintenance and management strategies that you also have within that, with also still an eye on that repurposing and retrofit element. Finally, let's create a place where people choose to stay, to move to and live well throughout their lives. So I'll just talk through the images slightly and actually the advantages in terms of an urban response that town centre living can have. These images show a response to Sturrock Street and King Street. So as you can see from that, town centre living has the ability to address Sturrock Street, but also King Street as well, with town centre living above. And really what it does is help to activate that street frontage at different levels. And then also you can see how all these other projects are starting to integrate and starting to activate Sturrock Street. There are proposals in the master plan to the east that looks at potential master plan consent areas. And some of these images are really just what ifs. What are the possibilities that we can do? And the final theme is vacant buildings, retail and business development. This is one that has been talked about a lot within the consultations. And really what we've done is a lot of study and research into this. So vacancy rates have actually not changed significantly over the past 7 years. So the question is, why does the town centre feel less cared for? And actually what we've identified is really there's 6 buildings within the town centre that have been vacant for a prolonged period of time, one up to 26 years, which is the ABC building. So what we need to do is start to come up with a strategy of how do we tackle these vacant buildings. The team over the past year has developed the repurposing panel, which has started to gain a lot of traction as well. Nationally and following national best practice. And what the repurposing panel has been doing is bringing in experts in the field and also the owners of the buildings to review the buildings and see what is the potential next steps and roadmap to start to bring new life into these buildings. So vacant buildings and business retail development. So Kilmarnock already has a strong independent business and they've given so much to the town centre. There's clusters in Bank Street, Foregate, John Finney Street, Titchfield Street, and they really add the character and attraction to the town centre, offering something different to the nationally recognised shops and other towns. So the key question is, how do we support them going forward and how do we do that through partnership working? So there's various ways in which we can do that. Business improvement developments is something that we would look to inform local businesses about. We really want that to be business-led to take forward. And really what it does is it starts to place a bit more ownership into local businesses for them to take pride in their place and to coordinate their trading area. We'll look to work with the Kilmarnock Business Association We've also established ambassadors networks, so key representatives from the key streets of John Finney Street, Foregate, Bank Street and Titchfield Street, making sure that we have tighter communication in terms of how we work together going forward for the town centre. Property networks, these have been established, for example, in places like Kirkcaldy and have proven to be successful, and this is something that we would look into going forward. Business rates have been mentioned at most consultation events, if I'll say, so that's something that I think needs to be focused on and looked at as we move forward. Town centre interactive maps, so bringing in that technology response. How do we make the town centre more accessible to businesses as we move forward? And shopfront grants as well is something that we're also going to look at. So, in conclusion, this is the start of our journey, and this document really is the start of our journey. It's a shared vision and a strategic framework that really ensures all of us are going to pull in the same direction as we move forward. So really our immediate next steps, as alluded to, is we have shared the vision now and we're looking for your comments. So there'll be a 6-week consultation really to see have we got it right and what are your opinions and how we take this forward. Thank you.
Siobhan and Pamela, thank you very much. Siobhan, you really brought that to life for us as well, so thank you very much for that. Members, I will open it to the floor. Already a few you have indicated you wish to speak, and I'll start with Leader. Thank you.
Thanks, Provost. You got that absolutely right. Siobhan and your team and Pamela, I think you really did bring that to life. I think the document we had in terms of some of the images, and I think images are really important in terms of ambition, really illustrate it, where we need to go and reflected that ambition. All the people that participated, as Joe said, through the strategy group, we make Kilmarnock and all the different bodies, business groups that participated in this whole process. The 4,000 folk that responded to our consultation, this is part of their vision and something that we want to reflect. I think, in the past, the councils and local authorities have made mistakes and having the monopoly of ideas. That's certainly not where this council's coming from. I think, it's come from myself. This is going to be really a motive and something that will be really important, certainly to me, and hopefully to all 32 members around the table. But as somebody that's born, bred and lived and breathed Kilmarnock, I don't have the monopoly of ideas. I'm certainly keen, certainly want to do well. I'm certainly enthusiastic for the future. And I'm sure, particularly the other 13 members that represent Kilmarnock share that ambition. But we also have to, to speak to the people that are living in Kilmarnock, but the people that are potential want to come and stay in Kilmarnock. An interesting thing with Kilmarnock is the population is bucked to kind of trend. And certainly in the West Central Scotland, the population is growing. And I think together with some of our vision that we've already laid down, although this is just a start, there has been a number of plans that have been put into place. You mentioned the Grand Hall Palace Theatre Complex, but we've got others, the Climbing Centre, the Centre Stage Takeabout. All these are bringing activities that are bringing people into our town and mostly into our town centre. And that's something that we want to be absolutely proud of. As well as the kind of commercial centre. And I remember years ago, I think, Barry, you were still working with the council when there was a survey done in Scotland that showed that Kilmarnock was not a clone town but a hometown. And I think through recent experience where family businesses have been very much loyal to Kilmarnock, that's borne through and fruits, and they've stayed with us in the whole, while some of the multiples have done like every other multiples doing right across the UK and Ireland, and coming away from town centres and going to retail parks. And that's just something people are changing their leisure habits, or going into online, and you can order loads of things off your phone. So we've got to adapt to that future and look to see what's coming in front of us. So I'd like to welcome the paper, recognising the ambition. We're not just standing still, grasping the challenges head on and dealing with them in a way that shows positivity and ambition. recognise the significant engagement that has already taken place, as I mentioned, across many groups and individuals that have helped shape and design the master plan. They've codified the change, and that is needed, and I look forward to the consultation period ahead and the future report together to gather more views and thereafter give forward the forward change at very much pace. As a council, we've already committed £100 million to the plan, and we say to companies and inward investors, we are ready to work with you to come to Kilmarnock, and we will support you, make Kilmarnock prosper and turn the aspirations in the People's Master Plan into reality. We'll work with all partners to deliver the plan and realise the ambitions and benefits for local people. And you're seeing that all the time. I mean, last week, Provost, you and I went to Atlanta Styles. That old Halifax building's been lying empty for before I had a house, so that was just yesterday. So I think I did my first mortgage in there. So that's how, I mean, that's not yesterday. So it's great to see some of these buildings come back to use. Across the road, I was with Councillor Cowan. We went in to see what Buzzworks were up to. You've not quite seen it yet, but we got a wee sneak preview, and it is really encouraging the quality of redevelopment that are taking place into there and the further investment. Colin, he was wanting to retire, but he now sees the future in Kilmarnock, and he's excited about the future. And for somebody like Colin to give you that kind of positivity, that is a big clap in the back. But it's not just there. There's right across from the White Tell building, there's a lot of work going on. And that's not to ignore that we don't have our challenges. And Pamela, I would like to say, Percy Johnston Marshall Plan is a good, significant part of our town, but it's not exclusively our town. But it's probably where most of the challenges lay. And as Marks and Spencers have told us, they're the last surviving big box company in the high street, and they've given their indications of where they're at right across UK. So we've got a problem with these big boxes, but as your plan showed, we've got suggestions and opportunities here. And, you know, with activities going on like the Grand Hall, the Palace Theatre, Cultural Quarter, Centre Stage, and all these folk that I've mentioned, the Climbing Centre, and Rugby Park and others, they're bringing loads of people into the town. So I'm asking hoteliers out there, come in and have a look at Kilmarnock Town Centre, because, you know, we're going to be needing one because the number of visitors that are going to be coming to see us once, particularly the new investment they've got at the Grand Hall and Palace Theatre. So it's exciting times ahead. Sure, there's challenges, but let's work together and face these challenges. You know, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, the journalist, and it's an often critical journalist, escorted us around Kilmarnock Town Centre, and it was great to show him, you know, just some of the things that have been done just in recent years, from meeting about the halo down at Ayrshire College, going through that the tunnel, which used to be an absolute no-go area underneath the arches at the railway centre. Used to smell awful, no good into graphic details. But what it does now, and it's been up there for 10 years, shows all the pride that we have in Kilmarnock, whether it's BMK, Massey Ferguson, Glenfield and Kennedy, the football club, the rugby club, everything, the baths and the tidal machine, it's all up there, and it's not been vandalised, because the people out there genuinely care about our community. So it was great to get down there, down Jim Finney Street, and see, you know, the Opera House, which lay empty for 20 years, the Ingram Business Centre, to hear what we're doing, some of the suggestions, what we've got down the Strand, the old Johnny Walker Bond that lay empty for ages. So there has been work done there, but we need to continue and keep that momentum going. And I would say to everybody around the table, keep up the positivity. You know, we all care about it. Sure, there's challenges, but we'll address these challenges, and we'll address these challenges together with the people. But just let's change the narrative a wee bit. We've been sitting in the back foot for too long, and as that article showed, there's a lot to be proud of in Kilmarnock's history. It's unbelievable. As he said in his article, 2 of the most famous folk, Scottish people that ever, you know, that's recognised across the planet, one in a boat called Johnny Walker, and one his verse is sang every year right across the world, Robert Burns. Grew up in the business, attended the Lake Kirk, all the way in 100 yards of one another. That is a remarkable story. And don't forget the whole Edgar Allan Poe and that Cambridge College is just across the road. So all that kind of history is all there, but we need to look forward to my children's children's future, and look at things like you mentioned, Siobhan, like climate challenge, and look at, not just sitting and accept what SEPA are saying about flooding and blight in the town centres, but doing something about it. The rain gardens, green spaces, that can all contribute to that. But look at town centre living and see where we can do it, and do it sensitively. I was a bit kind of cynical, not sure about it at first, but when you see these plans and we can produce, and when you can visualise it, I'm not the best at visualising plans, but these plans here that you made, Pamela, and your team are absolutely fantastic. And it's not just looking at the market, not looking at us that are absolutely big fans of Kilmarnock. It's the wider public out there, the business that want to invest. We've got a story and a future we want to tell them about a growing population that want to come live and work and breathe in Kilmarnock and bring their families too. So, I think we should recognise that, and I really look forward to the 6 weeks consultation. So, basically, we'll work with our partners, continue to do so. We'll have different ones for some of our apps. You mentioned the Picture House. Since I've been a councillor, it's been a thorn in our flesh, and there's other vacant buildings too. So we need to engage these people in a constructive way where possible, because that's probably where you get the quicker solutions. But if necessary, we'll use every tool in the book to bring these folk round the table, and land won't be blighted round our town centre, and it'll just not be tolerated. So we've got to do that, and that message has got to ring clear out there to the business community that we're open for business, but we're not being Kilmarnock Town Centre not be used to land bank or just build up your pension pots. That's not going to happen any longer, and we've got to be really absolutely strong in what we're saying to these people. So I call on both governments, because we're friendly with both of them now, because we'll take any money where it comes from. So we'll talk to the Scottish Government, UK Government. We'll take your money, and we'll show you, despite some of the economic, social-economic problems that Kilmarnock and East Ayrshire face, we can deal with them, and we can turn around the future. And this is just not just about Kilmarnock, can I say, and it's not just about the 4 wards in Kilmarnock or Alnwick or Irvine Valley. It's a whole of East Ayrshire, it's a whole of Ayrshire. I'd ask my colleagues in Kilmarnock and Doon and all the rest to be patient, but to understand this is important for us all, because it's all about improving transport links, and people in the kind of hinterland areas can find work and can do business in the main town in Kilmarnock. And in the wider Ayrshire, people have different attitudes about the whole of Ayrshire, and they can work with their colleagues in North and South Ayrshire to have an Ayrshire that's a glowing beacon to the rest of Scotland. It's the nicest county in the whole of Scotland, and I know that. And if you're not convinced, just I think we'll do no longer convincing you. But it's for too long. It's a major asset for Scotland. It's been ignored for too long, and this plan is just a stepping stone towards that direction. And I hope it's something. I sincerely hope it's something we can all get together and behind. And just Pamela, Siobhan, Karen, I'd like to thank you all for all your hard work in this, and looking forward to your hard work in the future. Thank you.
Leader, thank you very much. And thank you for acknowledging us Euro councillors. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And very well said. Councillor Douglas.
Thank you, Provost. And again, just would want to extend my thanks to the team behind the master plan. Pamela, Siobhan, have done amazing work here. And it's important to note this is the start of a process. Yes, we have consulted widely already, but it is important that, based on this document, the people out there who live in Kilmarnock, who work in Kilmarnock, have business in Kilmarnock, or just visit us occasionally, can make sure they get their voice heard on the ambitious proposals that are before us today. But it is the start. We've had loads of plans and loads of reports in the past that sadly have not amounted to the change that I think all of us in this chamber would like to see happen. And I look across the chamber, and actually, there are 14 Kilmarnock councillors. I think all but one of us lives within a mile of the town centre. And it's interesting when you look around. Councillor Maitland, who owned a business in the town centre, lives in the town centre. Councillor Cowan, who had a vital role in centre stage. Councillor Sangster, who has been a passionate defender and supporter of Bank Street, who also lives in the town centre. Councillor Reid, as leader of the council, who has lived in and around the town centre and been a town centre ward member for over 30 years. Councillor Adams, who is undoubtedly passionate about the condition of our public realm. And Councillor Todd, who has often put forward innovative ideas about transport into our town centre. Councillor Boyd is undoubtedly passionate about our town's history and about its future. These are just some of the people who are vital stakeholders in this process. But actually what matters is not so much the views in here, it's about the people out there, the people who live and breathe Kilmarnock. And that is us as well, but it's also the public out there. So we talked a bit about a previous plan. The 60s and 70s were different days. You know, this drive towards modernity, big box, open retail spaces, that was of its time. And we were fighting against Irvine and East Kilbride. That's not where we are today. It's not where retail is today. But we actually have a really thriving independent retail sector as well, along Titchfield Street, along Bank Street in particular, and in the Foregate. The Foregate just now, I think members would all agree, is looking great. There are, fewer empty properties than there have ever been, but also ambitious plans that are coming forward for the Foregate too. I want to also mention the late Councillor Jim Buchanan. And, I've talked a lot about people not from my party necessarily, but other parties as well. And I think it's important to do that. As you all know, I was an officer of this council many years ago, and I remember being in meetings with Jim Buchanan, and let's be honest, the air was blue as he was expressing his frustration about some of the derelict buildings I mentioned today. And I remember him being there as we accessed the ABC cinema probably around 20 years ago, and the condition it was in then. And, I remember his passion to try and make sure something would happen. So, there's nobody got a monopoly on good ideas. Actually, it's incumbent on us all to work together, be positive about Kilmarnock, and put this forward as a blueprint. There are ideas in here that saying this may happen in 10 years, this could happen in 5 years. If somebody comes up and tells them, see this idea in 10 years, how about I do it now? I think we bite their hand off. And that's the flexibility that's achieved in this master plan. And I think that's important to notice. First and foremost, we need our town to feel safe and be clean. And actually, the next paper that the Deputy Chief Exec has brought forward will, I believe, go some way to do that. You've listened to members across the chamber. And actually, the master plan, I think, reflects that too. Listen to members across the chamber, but listen, most importantly, we listen to the public out there. As you all know, through my work, I often bring people to Kilmarnock. I'll say, well, why don't you meet me in Kilmarnock rather than the south side of Glasgow? It's just off the 77, and you come, and I take them round the Dean Park, or I'll take them round the Howard Park or the Quay Park, and everybody says, I had no idea this was here. I had no idea you had this fantastic open space. We have got fantastic gems of open space already. Let's build on the success of those to anchor in further investment and further support for our town centre. Retail isn't coming back the way it was. Every one of us is probably guilty of ordering online, because you can order it at 10 o'clock at night and it'll be there by tea time the next day. We've all done it. I'm sure every single one of us. Retail is not coming back the way it is. But what is important is that our town centre is, yes, focused on retail, perhaps a different type of retail, is focused on the leisure opportunities and absolutely focused on housing. Town centre living can work. And we see some great images there. And you know what? Let's look at it. Let's look at the demographic. Let's look at the people who would be best placed to come and live in our town centre. Now, we know for the private sector, the values of flatted properties in terms of building them compared to what you could sell them for in the open market isn't there in most towns across the west of Scotland. So let's be innovative and work in partnership to deliver the best possible housing that is suitable and right for our town centre. And let's, in one way, look to the past. People lived in our town centre in actually horrific conditions, I have to say. But let's look now to the town centre and see it can be really modern, energy efficient, fantastic quality housing. So I'm passionate about that and really, really keen to see it. But we see, even in Silverburn, our retail behemoth to the north of here, that they've had to change even their model in terms of retail. And actually, leisure and places to eat and socialise have become a much bigger part of their footprint because retail is changing and it impacts these guys as well. So housing, leisure and retail, are at the future of this. I would certainly commend the master plan and hope members across the chamber can come together on this. Yes, there will be times where we will disagree. Yes, there will be times where we want to see a different outcome. But that's in the detail. Let's put it to the public. Let's get stakeholders engaged. And let's hear what they think. And then the master plan needs to come back to this chamber and implement it at pace. We cannot, and I certainly will not support, and I'm sure members across the chamber will feel the same, any more delays or any more stagnation in terms of some of the reports that have come before. Let's get things moving and make Kilmarnock the best it can possibly be. Thank you, Provost.
Thank you very much, Councillor Douglas. And as yourself and Leader both alluded to, this is the people's consultation, having it in a way where even our young people feed into it, they're our future. Having all these views gathered is super important, as you both rightly say. I know I've got a 12-year-old daughter who's got all the ideas too. So I'm saying I'll send you the consultation link. So making it accessible to everybody, absolutely. Very well said, both of you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Provost, and I'm going to take your advices. I'm going to keep this concise. I could ask 25 questions, to be honest, today, but I'm going to limit myself to 3, and I'm going to get through those 3 questions as quick as I can. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Joe McLaughlin as the Chief Executive. There aren't many Chief Executives in Scotland that would meet with lowly independent councillors and give them face-to-face up-to-dates as this vision for Kilmarnock Town Centre has progressed. So thank you, Joe, for that. I'm going to sort of put these 3 questions to Joe, but I did pick up this morning that his voice might be going. So, Joe, if you want to bring in any heads of department or what have you to answer these on your behalf, then just keep drinking the water and pass on the questions. So that'll be ideal as long as we get an answer. So, these questions arrived from a very productive meeting with Foregate traders on Monday evening, which other councillors also attended, and it was after the vision had come out and the paper was out, so all the information was in the public domain, and the traders had obviously pored over it, probably to a greater extent than the councillors at that point. Now, the traders themselves wanted to know, and they were, as far as the Foregate project is concerned, in the main fully behind that project, and they thought it was a very, very positive start to the vision. But they want to know, if possible, and if we approve this today and the contracts awarded, etc., the traders would like to know, can we give them a date, not something that's in tablets of stone, but a date where they'll actually see spades in the ground and the work starting. Again, the traders' feedback was, ideally, they would like to wait until after the Christmas and New Year trading period, because they feel that works right in front of their shops might disrupt trade at that very important time of year. But if we could get spades in the ground very early next year, they would be all for that. Again, that's also sort of backing up feedback that I'm getting online from the public, because as other members have said, I think Barry alluded to it, the Kilmarnock public have seen plans, they've seen visions, they've seen other good, well-intentioned organisations come and go. What they haven't seen is, visible, tangible action. So we'd just like, if possible today, I'd just like a date, not going to be held to, if it's a week late or a month late, then, nobody's going to lose their job, but just a projected date as to when the Foregate project will actually start. So that's question 1. Question 2, and this was very, very detailed, and this question when I was sitting with the traders caught me unaware. So this is one of my bugbears, but you get these massive big papers, and you don't really have time to do the background revision and investigations into the facts. But this relates to pages 108 to 109 of a vision for Kilmarnock Town Centre document, where it talks about business improvement districts. We'll shorten that to BIDs, that's what they're known as, BIDs. The feedback from traders in the sentence, a bid is defined as a defined area where local business and the bid team collaborate to fund and deliver projects that improve the trading environment for local business. This was received as far from positive. It was very, very negatively received, actually. Now, the reason for that is some of the traders that we were speaking to don't just have shops in Kilmarnock, they also have shops in Stirling and etc. And as such, I was directed to go and read all about the 4th bid, which is up and running. Now, what the traders told us at the meeting was that if you're in an area, if your shop's in an area that's covered by a bid, you have to pay an extra levy. You cannot opt out of it. You have to pay the levy. If you don't pay the levy, then the local authority can actually take you to court. That's what I was told verbally. Now, I went away and I did my own investigations into this, and they do seem to be right, because I read up in the fourth bid, and it does indeed come with a levy on each individual business within the bid area. Now, I'm not sure, because there was mention made of whether each individual levy, I'm not 100% sure on this. I think it might be linked to the rateable value of the premises that the individual trader has. I'm not 100% sure on that, but what it is there is definitely an extra levy that's applied to each trader on and above their business rates. Now, the feedback we got was that from experience, they don't feel that the extra levy is worth the benefits that the businesses receive from being in a bid area. So all I'm saying to the council is, will the Kilmarnock bid district come with an extra levy on traders? At this point, do we know what that levy might be? Can we quantify it if there is going to be a levy? And also, I think that might be a difficult sell, to be honest, from the feedback that I received on Monday night. The last question is point 3, and all of the presentations have mentioned it: connectivity, joining up the town, transport. Now, in these chambers, we were given the information, the good information, that the council was going to buy a fleet of minibuses to help with the ASN transport to and from schools. And obviously those buses are going to be busy, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, whatever. But what are those buses, what are those minibuses going to be doing during the middle of the day? So what the traders asked for was, and Kilmarnock used to have this service, I remember them popping around, the hoppers. I think they were wee orange buses. But what the traders asked was, in order for the centre of the town, the Foregate, to be joined to Queen's Drive, to then be joined to Logring, the retail centre at Glencairn, could those buses be utilised to provide a hopper service that's going from the bus station, out the Queen's Drive, up to the roundabout, down the Halford Road, back in the Glencairn route, back up into the centre of the town, and just continually go round in a loop? Because the traders themselves felt that their businesses would thrive, but also the out-of-town businesses would thrive if those hoppers were available. And obviously these buses will hopefully be adapted for people with disabilities, elderly people who might not be able to carry shopping bags in and out the Queen's Drive. So we believe a hopper service, just on the subject of connectivity and joining up the town, would be absolutely fantastic. And also, we're going to have these minibuses. Could they be utilised to provide that, a hopper service? So that's my 3 questions, and I'm just going to, as I say, I've probably got another 21, but you wouldn't allow me to ask them, Claire, so I'm going to stop there.
Councillor Richardson, thank you, and it's just so that every member's got the chance to speak as the day goes on, so I appreciate that. Joe?
Thank you, Provost. I'll take 2 and 3 and pass across to Deputy Chief Exec for number 1, if that's okay. In terms of the business improvement district or the bid, as Siobhan touched on, it's business-led. If business don't want a bid, then there will be no bid. The way it works is there's a business plan created for that area, or the defined area. There's a postal ballot of all the properties that are rateable valued properties within that area, and then there's the approval, and there's a 2-stage to the approval, which safeguards the larger and also the smaller RV businesses. So within a defined area, there has to be a majority yes from all of the businesses. But the second stage that also carries it is that the majority of the rateable values of all the properties has to be more than 50% yes. So it safeguards that we don't have 10 small businesses voting yes and 5 large businesses voting no. So it has to be a yes to both, but it's business-led. Part of that business plan will propose a levy, 1%, 2% of the rateable value of all the properties within that area, if it's a yes. But that additional levy is ring-fenced and can only be used by the bid businesses to enhance their streetscape, their street furniture, their furniture outside their shops. So there are safeguards within it, and that's really important. On the second point around the buses, I think we proved today we're open to anything. But, you know, and another time we'll talk about the meeting we had this week with SPT colleagues around that wider connectivity challenges, particularly in the south of the authority, and how we plan to use those buses between that 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock to try and provide connectivity for those places that are facing depopulation and also facing issues where they don't have the same bus service as we do in Kilmarnock. And at that point, with your approval, Provost, I'll pass across to David around the contract and the timescale for Foregate Square.
The short answer is we're aiming for a site start on January, recognising that starting before Christmas would have a potentially more adverse impact than starting in January. So I'm mindful we're in open session. There are three parties there. There's the council, there's the client, there's the contractor, and then there's Transport Scotland as a significant funder. The council and the contractor's preference is very much January, and I do expect it will be January. However, we need to take the funder with us. They would have a preference. Their ambition is to see the money spent out of their budget by March. We are comfortable that it can be delivered between January and March, and their needs can be met as well. They just need to be fully persuaded and assured in that. But as matters stand, we are aiming for a site start in January after the Christmas period.
Okay.
Thanks to Joe and David for those answers. I think, as Barry said, what we've got in front of us is only a start. But I think the people of Kilmarnock will be they'll be grateful and relieved to see the project at the Foregate start in January, because I think that's what everybody in this town needs. They need to see things actually happening. And the Foregate's only a start, but it's going to be a really good start, and you know, that'll be great to see. So thanks very much to the officers for those answers.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Richardson. So I'll bring Leader in, then we have Councillors Cowan, Sangster, Boyd, Watts and Linton. And if anybody else wants to speak, just let me know. Leader.
Thanks. It was just about the point about the shuttle bus. That's been a discussion that's been on the table, and there's live planning applications currently just in the Queen's Drive, etc. So, but the point's been well known, and I've heard from the traders and from the local retailers. That's an idea to connect the Glencairn, Queen's Drive, and King Street areas by a hopper bus, and it's an idea that's actually live and something we'll absolutely follow through. Just to give Councillor Richardson David, that bit of reassurance, and I'm glad to hear that. The positivity there to get behind this, and yes, we'll need to see changes. As for your other 21 questions, David, we've got the Kilmarnock strategic group still open for business. We'll look forward to hearing them in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Cowan.
Thank you, Provost. There's no place like home, and my home is Kilmarnock, and I absolutely love it. Its people, its green spaces, its heritage buildings, its history, its culture and its traditions. Have we had it sere over the last few years? Of course we have. Have we had issues to face and problems to deal with? Of course we have. But I'll tell you what else we have. We have plenty of people with ideas. We also have plenty of people with opinions. And we have a town full of people with passion and grit. And these people want something better for Kilmarnock. And I hope the approach outlined in this report signals the start of the journey to building a better town that we all deserve. Now, for elected members outside of Kilmarnock, the last time we spoke on this topic in Chambers, there was a comment made about a tail wagging the dog, which in my opinion was not helpful. So I would like to respectfully recommend an alternative phrase for members to consider, that a rising tide lifts all our boats. Several years ago, the Council produced a report about the town called A Decade of Change. It was a good wee summary of some key achievements over the preceding 10 years, but it was looking backwards, and in my mind, it lacked ambition. Today's report, that hopefully will be approved by Council to go forward for the public to have their say, is different in many ways. It's forward-looking and it is ambitious. It is bold, with a total identifiable investment package of £120 million already on the table. It is optimistic about the opportunities that exist for any external funders, partners, agencies and businesses that want to join us. The ideas have been collated and prepared into this report by people we know. Not a group of consultants from outside Kilmarnock, but people who live and work here. That is a really important distinction for me, so I just want to recognise everyone who has had a hand in producing this work and has got us to this point. Now, it wouldn't be for me if I didn't have an ask or a challenge for officers. And speaking from the perspective of my spokesperson role for children and young people, I warmly welcome the inclusion of paragraphs 41 and 55 that respect the views of our children and young people. However, I believe that as we move into the delivery phase of these projects, there is a unique opportunity for us to inspire the next generation of town planners, architects, builders and residents by weaving into this work the principle of UNICEF's Child-Friendly Cities and Communities programme. Not only will that help future-proof our current plans, it will deliver better outcomes for every generation and every ability. I am really looking forward to the December Council meeting. I don't think I've ever said that before, but I am looking forward to the December Council meeting to find the outcome of the public consultation. The future of the town is ours to shape, and I'm already looking forward to the hard graft and the grit that is going to be required to turn this plan into a reality.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Sangster.
Thank you, Provost, and I also want to pass on my thanks to Siobhan, Pamela and the team. You've obviously done an absolute power of work into this, and of course I absolutely support it. One of the things that comes out from the public quite a lot, I mean, we have a lot of issues with the town centre. One of the issues that people do complain about a lot is about the vacant properties in the town centre. So kind of reference in paragraph 23, just kind of given that there's a number of vacant properties in the town that have inactive ownership or landlords, I'd like to know what kind of specific criteria is the council going to use to determine when they're going to pursue a compulsory purchase order, and how are you going to ensure that actions such as that are going to be kind of timely and effective in supporting the regeneration? Thank you.
Yep, thank you. I'll bring in Craig, our Chief Governance Officer. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Chair. And Councillor Sangster, it's actually quite tedious because earlier, I think this year, there was a review undertaken by the Scottish Government in terms of compulsory purchase orders, and a report, a report was issued, I understand, last night, and the outcome of that. So I am aware that there's going to be new legislation coming in, which in part may also look to speed up the processes of compulsory purchase orders when required. Obviously, in terms of the compulsory purchase orders, we need to look at what is the requirement for the council. I mean, ordinarily, we would want to work with the business owners themselves to secure some kind of beneficial use for the particular buildings, but I'm conscious that, as I think has been said in the chamber already this morning, a number of them have been lying empty, derelict for a considerable period of time. You'll also have seen a discussion there about the retrofit and repurposing panel, and obviously as a result of the two meetings there have been recommendations given to some of the owners, including
for the ABC building, and that will clearly continue. But in terms of the compulsory purchase order process itself, obviously what we would be looking to do for us, there needs to be some kind of requirement for us to purchase some of these buildings. Now, quite clearly, it may be, having gone through a number of those processes, we get to the point that, having regard to the master plan and the vision, once it gets to the point that it is ultimately approved, there may be a purpose at that point. But that's only part of the matter. Quite clearly, for the council, we also need to make sure there would be a budget at the end of the day for us to purchase any particular building. Now, what we would like to do, and why I was saying we would like to be engaging with some of these property owners or builders in terms of the end use, would also be that as we go forward, and there are other businesses out there that may be looking to come into Kilmarnock, in those cases where there may not necessarily be that potential budget, that we would be looking to work with any potential end user, so that you get to a point where, if we are looking to compulsory purchase a particular building, there is somebody that may also then be lined up to take the building and do something and run with it in those particular circumstances where there may not necessarily be that kind of the budget. So you would have almost back-to-back agreements in place, but that does require us obviously to continue that level of engagement as we are trying to do with some of the businesses, and also those out with, to bring them in to say this is what we're trying to do with Kilmarnock. Unfortunately, it may be the process can take a bit of time, but quite clearly we would be looking to continue to engage with the owners and others as we get through that project. What the compulsory purchase order would do, though, is if title is transferred, it then may give the space for folk to argue over what the value may be if there's a dispute about that, but it means the property has transferred meantime. But quite clearly the focus here is about, for us, if there were no budget, that we are actively engaging with others to make sure that there will be an end use that can be made for that building.
Thank you, Craig. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you very much, Craig. That's some really good information, and I just want to say I'm really looking forward to continuing working in the strategic group. It's good. Siobhan and Pamela's passion for this is palpable whenever we're in at meetings. So I'm really looking forward to continue working with you guys. Thank you.
Lovely. Councillor Boyd.
Thank you, Provost. The past helps us understand the present and the future. This fine master plan recognises this, particularly page 16 and 17. These historical contexts contain matter. Central Kilmarnock by the 60s was snarled up with traffic. Undoubtedly modernisation was required, hence the 1968 master plan that changed the historic character of the town forever. So here we are today, the new town centre master plan upon us, and not a minute too soon. I would also like to pay tribute to Councillor Buchanan as well. Councillor Buchanan really got regeneration, and he really gave Kilmarnock a lift. I used to, just as a member of public, email Councillor Buchanan discussing things like lighting the viaduct, and we were really lifting the town. But unfortunately, in the last 10 years or so, Kilmarnock Town Centre, it's really been square pegs into round holes. However, this is an excellent production that seeks to remedy and untangle some of the mistakes as described by Pamela from the 60s and 70s. An incredible amount of research and work has been into its production. I would like to thank in particular the Chief Planner and the Senior Architect for their knowledge, drive and expertise in putting the master plan together. We should also acknowledge Richard Grieveson's role in getting the ball rolling, and of course more recently the Acting Chief and Deputy Chief Executives. The master plan is in many ways aspirational. To turn this into reality, we need to pull in the same direction and, crucially, take an often sceptical public with us who are frankly scunnered by false dawns of numerous past consultations. Perceptions will only change with the people of Kilmarnock when cranes, bulldozers and construction works are seen, spades in the ground. Now to look at some aspects of the plan. The foregate. Work needs to start soon, that's been covered. And the public and the traders will know the start date by now. The designs are tremendous and will be transformative, hopefully matched by the exterior improvements to the shops, creating a bookended destination. The traders did wish me to bring up what will happen to the £1 million allocated to the Foregate previously via the strategic group. How will it be used? Just beyond the Foregate, the viaduct frames the northern gateway to the town centre. I like the ideas presented, but Network Rail need to step up to the plate and come on board with some much needed maintenance before. Then there's the town centre bore constrictor, better known as the one-way system. I very much welcome the recommendation to return the eastern section to two-way along with the Infinity Loop. Therefore, shortening journeys, reducing unnecessary traffic on Glenfinnie Street, and the need to do a lap of the circuit to find a parking space. It also provides connections between a revitalised Foregate and a reimagined Palace Theatre with its planned public realm and adjoining town green. The Palace has suffered being segregated from the town centre by a raised express road. Now, David Bowie was playing the Grand Hall in the late 60s, and he nipped over to Waterloo Street just for a quick pint between performances. You couldn't imagine him crossing the road now, and that's some of the kind of historical context. The improvements mooted in the plan are graphic evidence of the master plan untangling mistakes of the 70s, where shopping, leisure and culture were compartmentalised into precincts, that horrible Americanisation term, all creating cold disconnection. This is the polar opposite of placemaking which the master plan looks to build upon. Page 67, the map describes a reactivation of the Sturrock Street frontage. Go stand at Sturrock Street any time during the day near the Salvation Army and look around. Devoid of people, you'll see a soulless street dominated by vehicles, car parks and framed with frosty box type architecture with the windowless character of a prison, similar to post-war Soviet city of Minsk. Le Corbusier, the founding father of this brutalist box architecture, his fantasy becoming a dystopian Orwellian reality here. That's why I love the impression of Sturrock Street in page 148, and it was covered by Siobhan earlier, with the apartments, a return to properly thought out town centre living, ground floor for small retail, cafes, leisure. Visit the Abbey Quarter in Paisley for a fine example of this type of development. There is an aspect to the master plan that could be bolder. The eastern side of King Street is losing large chain stores that will never be filled. There's also a dated shopping mall with its condition deteriorating. We need to look towards clearance of this area within the future. Another historical context, this is where most of 8 east-west streets were lost during the 70s, and that created an elongated town centre, which is part of a problem. We need to bring back some of these east-west connections. Sensitive redevelopment of the eastern side of King Street, Sturrock Street, with well-thought-out green spaces could return these lost connections. The plan does very well with one east-west connection. I really like the idea of Palace Avenue in page 100, which provides a connection from transport hubs to the Palace Theatre. The last ice age blessed the town centre with the framing of a small glacial valley and a river. A river that's been hidden away as if it's embarrassed to be there. The ideas for the sandbed are very sound. Delivery is key. There needs to be action points which are reported on to full council annually reviewing progress. We need to be wise and plan carefully with efficient spending, bringing together a cross-fertilisation of ideas, council funding, private sector investment, UK Scottish governments, third sector and of course the town board. In the 70s, funding was easy. You created a comprehensive development area and the money poured in from the government. These days are long gone. It's also about getting the basics right: appearance, cleanliness and safety. I note page 49 of the plan, the lowest scoring matrix, 2 out of 7, is for care and maintenance. All projects require ongoing budgeted maintenance that cannot be seen as low-hanging fruit when it comes to cuts. If we're honest, we're not great at maintenance. Why is that? Why does the Wallace Chamber in Opera House, for instance, showpiece buildings in Glenfinnie Street continually have burglar growing out of them, and the public do comment on that often? This type of neglect has to end if we wish to deliver a better town for all of us. Traders also say they require more support from the council too. The surroundings in which we live have a huge influence on our health and well-being. I received an email with that comment in it from a resident, as did the Ward 2 councillors. The person added, unfortunately, much of the town centre has a negative impact. They're correct. At present, King Street sucks any joy and gives a sense of deflation. The council prides itself in prevention and early intervention. A clean and fit for modern purpose town centre, which we are aiming for, will have so many health benefits. Downtime and leisure time is your time. You visit places that make you feel good about yourself. A mindset change is required. Can do rather than excuses and why it can't be done. Poets' Corner, we were initially told it couldn't be cited where it was. Too many difficulties. Didn't go down well. We persevered. Result, the first piece of the master plan is successfully in its correct place. We're really at the last chance saloon to regenerate Kilmarnock Town Centre. We're behind the curve with similar towns such as Greenock, Dumbarton, Falkirk, to name a few. The 70s eyesores are fast disappearing. There's a public expectation in all of us involved, including the 14 at present, Kilmarnock councillors and any in the future. So please, no more procrastination, excuses or delays. If you're in any way involved in the plan, determination, perseverance and courage is the only way ahead. The Leader of the Council and the Leader of the Opposition are presently the most influential Kilmarnock councillors. My question to finish to both is, are you prepared to show determination, perseverance and courage, which will require commitment to funding to deliver the master plan? Now would be a perfect time to provide an answer to the Kilmarnock public.
Thanks, Councillor Boyd. £100 million, but I'll bring in Leader and Councillor Douglas if you want an answer from them. Yeah, Leader.
Well, as you say yourself, Provost, £100 million a council investment of the people's money, and we're custodians of that. We'll make sure for every £100 million we put in, we've got our friends in both governments to put in the same, and hopefully private business to do the same. Graham, I just wish you'd really get behind this. There's a lot of questions that we could be asking in the strategic group, some of these smaller issues that could be dealt with there. This is really important. I know you really care about the town. I know that 100%, and you're really caring its history. I really think what the order of the day is we need to embark with a wee bit of positivity. You've compared some of the towns with Kilmarnock that were behind the curve with them. I'm sorry, I disagree with you. I'm not even mentioning the towns because it's not about one town versus the other town. I've been there recently. I'm interested in Kilmarnock and the money that we're investing here. I just hope everybody can get around this with a positivity. And the last 10 years, it's not about square plugs and round holes. There's been plenty going on. With the biggest asset transfer in the whole of Scotland, saving Kilmarnock Academy building for the future. We've had the Grange Church kind of laid derelict. £4 million in to make it a climate centre. There's been plenty going on. There's been housing been built as well. There's a number of businesses in a time when the economy is in a bit of a state. So to answer your question, just to answer your question, absolutely, we've got the vision here, we've got the drive. I just wish everybody would get behind it, because it is important to be positive, because it's not just about selling it in here, it's to the communities, the business communities right across Scotland, the UK and wider, that we want to come and invest in Kilmarnock.
Yeah, perfect. Councillor Douglas.
Thank you, Provost. I knew we were going to talk a bit about history. I wasn't expecting a wee diversion into the Ice Age, or maybe when a T-Rex last walked down King Street. But, not to make light of the situation, what I would say is it would be easy for me to sit here and attack the administration for things that haven't happened or should have happened or could have happened. But ultimately, everybody in this chamber has a part to play in being passionate and being forward-thinking for Kilmarnock and listening to what the public want, not our own wee pet projects, what the public want to see. That is vital, whether you've got a business or whether you shop in the town, or you live in the town, or as I say, you just happen to visit occasionally. So in terms of any money that can come into the town, absolutely, why would anybody reject any inward investment into the town? Now, the UK Government have put money forward, the Scottish Government have put money forward, and this Council have put significant amounts of money forward. Is it important we make sure we get best value for that money? Absolutely. But you know what? If there's a project coming forward from this master plan and they need some public support, I'll be the first person knocking the Chief Exec's door to lobby publicly for that investment. And I'm sure the Leader of the Council, I'm sure Councillor Boyle will do the same. In terms of the most powerful councillors, I disagree with that title because, you know, actually what really matters isn't it the 32 of us, it's the important people of the people out there who are using our town centre every day. Let's be positive, because I have no doubt there'll be an investor somewhere who will be looking at the newspapers and trying to see what's happening in Kilmarnock, who will watch back this video today to see how we're debating and to see if actually there's any danger to any of this not happening. And if actually I look around this chamber, everybody has been relatively positive. We've maybe come at it at different angles, but people have been positive, and that will give confidence that regardless of what happens after May's elections, that most people in this chamber are, and most of the parties and independents around this chamber, are full speed behind this master plan. So when it comes to additional monies, absolutely, I'll take it from wherever it's coming, if we can deliver real and meaningful and lasting change that the public want, not just what we want in here. Thank you, Provost.
Okay, thank you both, Councillor, but I'm going to move on if that's okay. Is it relevant? Yes. Very relevant?
Yeah, very quickly. I am 100% behind this without a shadow of doubt. I am just reflecting the views of the public. Maybe some, you know, that's it. 100% behind it. I think it's brilliant. Let's deliver it.
Yep, thank you. I don't think that they're saying the positive, it was saying they were bringing the tone down or anything like that. It was just striking the balance and absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Thank you. Councillor Watts.
Thank you, Provost. Thank you, Pamela, Siobhan and the team. I think you've worked extremely hard putting this plan together. The Conservative group welcomes this bold and ambitious strategy. But we need to be honest. Kilmarnock Town Centre has suffered from years of slow progress. We've done lots and lots of things, but it has had slow progress. But it has, as with the rest of the UK, suffered through economic times. Kilmarnock businesses, residents and visitors have felt left behind. The vision for 2040 is okay, but we need to remember that's 14 years away to completion if you look at it from that sense. And the constituents and local businesses do need to see some change now. Delivery is everything. We have already the £100 million of council capital funding in place within local projects, alongside the 20 million Pride in Place funding secured from the UK government, which is fantastic. This is public money and it mustn't get lost in bureaucracy. The further request that £1 million goes into the Action Fund is a good ask, but it must start to deliver visible improvements to Kilmarnock Town Centre. The public consultation, to start from Monday, the 31st of October, must be a genuine listening exercise, not a box-ticking routine. We've got to listen to the people of Kilmarnock and what they want and the future that they need and require, so that when this report returns to us in December, we have a clear direction of where we need to go. The Conservative group will support these recommendations because Kilmarnock needs this investment, it needs this improvement. So I really do hope that this plan becomes a reality for the residents, visitors and businesses of Kilmarnock. Thank you, Provost.
Yep, thank you very much, Councillor Watts. I'll bring in Councillors Linton, then Deputy Provost, then Councillors Ingram, Adams and Maitland. Anybody else gives a shout. Councillor Linton.
Thank you very much, Provost. And I'm sure everybody in the room will be pleased to hear. I'll keep it brief. It was a great start this morning. The presentation was excellent, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all those responsible for bringing it to today's council. I acknowledge the willingness of those who drafted the plan to include others' ideas, and I would encourage everyone in the room to go out and sell our town of Kilmarnock in a very positive manner. I think we've all got a responsibility here to promote Kilmarnock as best we can, to make sure that all these plans included in today's paper come to fruition.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Linton. Deputy Provost.
Aye, thanks, Provost. I don't think you need to be a town centre councillor to be supportive of this plan, because coming from Kilmarnock's my town. If I go for a meal, I normally go into Kilmarnock. If I want to go to the football, I go to Rugby Park, although there's no one to park anywhere near it, which is a bit of a problem. But Kilmarnock's my town, and I think the master plan, we could maybe say it's long overdue, but I think it's aspirational, and it could even be seen as inspirational. I ken some of the images look like AI generated kind of stuff, and folk could say they're maybe too fanciful, but I think they look pretty good, and that's something to aspire to. So I'm very positive about it. And I ken it'll not be an easy journey either. I remember being the Development Services in 2003, Development Services Committee. There are still councillors here that probably was on that committee along with me. And it is a slow process. And I just hope that after Marks and Spencers are going, I'll still be able to go to the town centre and buy a book and a suit in the same town centre. That would be something to aspire to. So let's get cracking and put our arms out to somewhere that can provide a bookstore and somewhere that can provide a suit. Thank you.
I like it. Thank you, Deputy Provost. Councillor Ingram.
Thank you very much, Provost. Yep, really great work, Karen, Siobhan, Pamela. A huge amount of work, and obviously reaching out to everybody for their ideas. This is our master plan. It's not ours as a council, it's ours as the residents of East Ayrshire. And it's great to see that we've got that public consultation launching on Monday for 6 weeks, and I really call on everybody to make your views known, what you want from Kilmarnock, your ideas to make it a better place to live and stay. I noticed that obviously the communication and public consultation will be done with residents, business community and young people. As you might be aware, I'm interested in equalities and inclusion. So can you give me an idea of what the communication would be like with partners like the Violence Against Women Partnership and other third sector local partners? And as others have said in the chamber today, everyone has a part to play to make our town centre the best place, inclusive place to live, work and bring up a family. Thanks very much.
Yep, well said, Councillor Ingram. Thank you. Joe?
Thank you, Provost. Please be assured that in terms of that engagement, online and through Engagement HQ, but we recognise from the children through to those who are not children, they need to have face-to-face, meaningful consultation, similar to our budget engagement, where we attach ourselves to a whole range of communities of interest. And please be assured that the group you mentioned and others will be included.
Yep, thank you. Is that okay?
That's great, Provost. Thank you very much.
Yep, no, thank you. Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Provost. To Pam and the team, thank you very much. It's a much-needed document that hopefully will safeguard the future of the town. so thank you for that. As an elected member, I first caught sight of this document, sadly after it had been released to the public, and I'd like to ask why that was the case. People had it in their Facebook pages at 10 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't get it, embarrassingly, until the afternoon. I was getting emails asking me questions about something I hadn't read. I don't think that's good enough. The council leader states that he doesn't have a monopoly on ideas, and I agree with that. None of us do, and with this in mind, why do some councillors from other parties have access to the document before others? We're all elected to serve the people to the best of our abilities, and that, what I would term as political subterfuge, does little to promote collegiate working. In terms of the document itself, my colleague Councillor Richardson highlighted the business improvement districts. In terms of transparency, the 35 that operate currently in Scotland do levy a charge. That financial aspect was not included in any of the 153 pages of the document. The traders highlight that lack of detail has been slightly disingenuous and gets the master plan off on a poor footing with the traders people were trying to bring on side. They also want to highlight what the town centre looks like, because if you're going to be part of a business improvement district, you need to highlight what the town centre is, and at the moment that's not clear. It was also noted that new businesses rightly were named and praised, but there was no mention of the many traders who've been with us for many, many years, who've stuck with us through thick and thin. Those businesses noted the AI imagery, while very positive, highlighted a number of mobile businesses who can cherry pick when and where they go to in the town. How would those mobile businesses contribute towards the business improvement district? Would they get a say? Would they have to pay for it? That was, open to interpretation. Local businesses also under the bid take ownership and responsibility for their trading environment. So what does that look like? Do they get to set parking rates? Do they get to have free parking? Do they get to set their own business rates? Again, that's unclear, and the businesses would like to know that. And I'm sure they'll feed back in their own time. My ward colleague, Councillor Sangster, highlighted the old cinema and compulsory purchase. Well, that's been spare since 1999. What has changed? It shouldn't take a master plan to do what's right for the people of our town. And I acknowledge the fact that we've brought it to the table today, and that's positive, but we should have done it long before now. In phase 2, between 1 and 10 years, only 2 of the 15 projects have funding in place. And in phase 3, which is 1 to 14 years, 80% have potential, around about 80% of potential funding. There's a funding shortfall. We need to be honest with that. And we've highlighted we've got £100 million, but £100 million won't look at what we're trying to do here. We've just got to be honest with people. I'm very, very positive of what we've produced, but there's a lot that's not highlighted that we need to address. If I've got a criticism, and I'm allowed to criticise here, my colleague, Councillor Watts, highlights slow progress in the town. I would say it's been managed decline over a number of years. And why is it taking so long to get a master plan to the table? However, we've got it. I'm 100% behind it, as I'm sure everybody will be. But to finish off with the words of the suffragettes, we've got 153 pages of words. We need deeds, not words, to take Kilmarnock to the next level. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Adams. Joe?
Thank you, Provost, again. There was no subterfuge. There was a sequencing issue on Friday morning, and that's been in terms of the issuing, which caused a challenge for us, and clearly for some members. And I apologise for any inconvenience with that. In terms of some of the points you've made, in terms of the bid, as I said earlier on, it's for businesses to decide whether they would like a bid or not. And in terms of the compulsory purchase order, as Craig has highlighted before, there has to be a use. And we will work together with anyone who has a plan to bring those forward. There are a range of other comments that were made, Councillor Adams. Happy to take them back offline. I didn't take a note, forgive me. But in the majority of cases, I would simply and respectfully say to the traders and others, the consultation starts on Monday. Please be involved. We need to hear your views, and we will respond to each and every one. We will parcel them up and bring them back to you in December for you as Council to consider and progress as we go forward.
Yep, that okay, Councillor Adams? Yep, Leader.
I'm not responding to a lot of that, James. I'm disappointed, in terms of some of the criticism. I think some of it's unfair, particularly about managed decline. And, as I've sat in the chamber, as John McGee and others have sat in the chamber next to Conservative Provost Stephanie Young and to my Deputy Leader previously, Tom Cook, I think we'd be very disappointed to know, because previous Conservative councillors have been generally, like the Labour group today, have been generally positive in everything that's been done at East Ayrshire Council since its existence, and it's certainly not been a case of managed decline.
Okay, thank you, Leader. I am very conscious that I don't want this to be a tit for tat in this chamber, members. Pamela, do you want to come in?
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion this morning about business improvement areas. Just to say, firstly, this is a suggestion. We know we have to do a lot of work with the business, with the traders. So we're intending to go to the Kilmarnock Business Association sort of in the, I think it's around 12th, 13th of September. That's the start of the conversation. We're not imposing it on the traders. We know we have to bring them along. Also, after that, we're going to actually set up a business engagement evening. Within that, we've been working really closely with Scotland's Town Partnership, and they would be coming along. And also, we would get one of the other bids to come along, whether it's Paisley or Stirling, to speak about their experience of the bid. Now, myself and Siobhan have been to the Paisley first bid, and we have been impressed what they're doing. But the proof in the pudding is what the traders are saying, and certainly the feedback from the traders were saying, look, we couldn't have got through the last few years without having a business improvement district. So it is an idea, and there's a lot of work to be done, primarily with building up that trust with the traders, but also providing further information.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Adams, is that okay? Yep, okay, thank you. Councillor Maitland.
Thank you very much. And just a quick word, and then I want to go on to say something about the master plan. I really reject the managed decline. We saw what we did in the Foregate, taking down the car park, the multi-storey, and we saw what we did in Titchfield Street, and we now have a beautiful mural there, mural even, beautiful mural there as well. So anyway, I just wanted to go back to why I came to Kilmarnock and opened a business, and I was actually working for a really large retail company, looking up and down the UK and the towns and cities to see who would be supportive of our businesses, and that is one of the reasons that the company I then worked for chose East Ayrshire, and it was partly because of the council and because you had ideas that were friendly towards business. So this master plan will stand as an invite to people who want to do inward investment in Kilmarnock. It's not just for those already here as well, although we obviously need to work with them. It's about being proactive and attractive to business. So I really look forward to the consultation's results and embedding this plan into all our policy decisions. I would really, really like to thank Pamela and Siobhan. I'm sorry, I've not been away from your door. And Karen as well, Pamela, Liz, and all the officers too, because there's one thing about this council, the doors are always open. You don't have to come to council and ask 23 questions. The doors are open. There was meetings held for us. We had the strategic group. I think there was 10 meetings in all. I think we were 2 to 4 hours sometimes in these groups. Lots of questions answered. So I thoroughly look forward to the consultation, and I think just maybe to end this, if you could just give us a quick idea of how best to take part in this consultation so that it's out there on the record. The exercise that brought me and the company that I used to work for was called Ideas into Action, and I think that's what we're going to see now from this plan. We are going to see ideas going forward. Without a plan, you're going nowhere and you're aiming for nothing. So this is what we have in front of us now. I can't wait to see the comments come off of Facebook and go into the consultation itself. We've actually given people somewhere to go now that have these ideas. So I look forward to December. I really, really want to thank the team and my colleagues and everybody that took part, and Annika at the Leisure Trust, Ayrshire Ayrshire 360 as well for hosting some of these. We've got so much going on in this town. The Palace Theatre is really going to anchor us. We'll be on a completely different route, a different circuit of who can come to the town and play in the town, and that will boost our eating, our drinking. So thank you very much. Thank you to the team, thank you to the officers, and thank you to my colleagues.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Maitland. Well, there's a question in there, how best to engage. So how would one perhaps write something like bring Slipknot to the Palace Theatre? What would you suggest?
Through you, paragraph 40 refers, Councillor Maitland. It will be launched on Monday. There'll be links going out in social media, radio adverts and the like to showcase that link, and then once we go live.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Richardson, I'm a really nice person, aren't I? Right. Only I'll let you in if it is relevant, very concise.
Very concise and relevant, Provost, and thanks for letting me back in.
I'll give you a chance, go for it.
I'm only coming back in because I had a wee giggle there, because I meet John in the main stand at Rugby Park some home games, and John made it's a very, very serious issue. It's important, but the way John said it, you know, Rugby Park, although we don't want empty park and anything near it, it did make me laugh, Vice Provost. That's why I giggled, not because I don't think the issue is serious. I think it's an important issue.
You got a question?
Right, I'm going to get concise now.
Cool, thank you.
11,500 people at the Ayrshire Derby at Rugby Park. There's no other business can bring 11,500 people into Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock Football Club is part of this community. It's also probably, if not the biggest business in the town. It's one of them. It's a football club, it's part of the community, and it's a business. Now, East Ayrshire Council can't be driving potential customers away for that club. That's why I would ask in chambers today, can we look again at the parking restrictions? Because it's not in my ward, but I'm getting contact through Facebook for people that want me to contact ARA on this issue. Now, I haven't started doing that because what I thought, if the opportunity arose, and it's only arisen because the Vice Provost mentioned it, I thought I would bring it up in chambers today. We really need to look again at the parking restrictions around Rugby Park. We need to make it so that the residents are happy, but the football fans can park.
Thanks, Councillor Richardson. We're keeping it really tight to master plan. I'll bring David in though. David.
I think, leaving aside the complete lack of relevance to the item in front of Council, I'm happy just to remind members that the recent actions taken were in furtherance of previous Council decisions. In the past, the concern has been a lack of action, a lack of grip around some of the issues, and it's one of those situations, members, where you won't be able to keep everybody happy all of the time. You have residents who genuinely feel they are adversely impacted, not by everybody who attends Rugby Park and not by everybody who attends in a vehicle and parks in a vehicle, but there are those who park in places that impact adversely on residents, across driveways, etc., and those residents ask some of you who have the ward responsibilities in those areas for the Council to take action. There are other members of a different view, and I won't offer my usual observation and opinions because this is one quite clearly where there is room for more than one point of view. However, it's one voice, one vote. Council agreed in the previous reviews, Council agreed in the outcomes. The actions taken recently covered in Barry McDonnell's briefing note on Friday set out the actions taken in furtherance of the previous review. So the short answer is, if this Council wants to take a decision today to revisit that review and give a different strategic direction to ARA, then we'll take that away and we'll go and do whatever we're asked to do by Council. But Council needs to come to a view which will not be a unanimous view, a majority view, and the question is, are you happy with the settled position or do you want to go round the houses again, literally and metaphorically? So the answer to Councillor Richardson is if you are willing to allow him, if he wishes to move that, is there a seconder, and do you want to have that debate and detract from this paper? Do you want to have a conversation outside the room, or do you want to accept that what is in place at the moment is in furtherance of the previous review, and when do we stop reviewing and start taking action, which is a recurring theme on the paper we are actually considering. So I'm in the hands of Council. We will deliver whatever we're asked to deliver. At the moment, we're delivering the outcome of the last review as approved and accepted by the majority of Council, recognising there's a significant minority with a different opinion, and they are entitled to that opinion, but we can't go in two directions at once.
Council, I am going to bring this back to the master plan. David, I'll let you in, man. I am not proposing...
Provost, all I would say is it's a hot topic
David,
there.
Councillor Hitchens, stop talking over me. Okay, thank you. I am not going to break the middle of the master plan to talk about further reviews with some councils already agreed. If you want to revisit this, you'll know you can move motions and everything, come to myself, come to the officers for something down the road, okay? But see, for this point, I am moving forward with the master plan. Quite a few years, look, we're flagging a wee bit. I'll propose a lunch break. I'm not looking at any particular person right now that's signalling to me they want their lunch, but I've got a few people yet to speak, so I'm going to move on, members. Councillor Linda Maven.
Thank you very much, Provost. I promise I will be brief, and I promise it's predominantly about the master plan. So first of all, I'm going to avoid cliches because there seems to have been an overload of them in the day. I'm also not going to speak over anybody because that's just rude. I've kept quiet for most of this. I left most of the commenting to others. I don't represent a Kilmarnock ward. The ward that I, yourself and others represent is more rural. However, we have constituents who work, shop, eat, drink, socialise within the town. They've got a vested interest for different reasons in what happens. So on that basis, and as a resident of Kilmarnock, I am totally behind this plan, as we all should be. I do have confidence it can be delivered. Yes, it'll be tough. Yes, there'll be hurdles. Yes, there'll be disagreements. But the most important thing is that by working together, that we can overcome any issues that arise. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Councillor Maven. Absolutely. Thank you. Councillor Graham Barton.
Yep, thanks, Provost. Again, I'd like to thank Pamela, Siobhan, Karen and the rest of the team for bringing this vision forward. I think a lot of what I was going to say has been covered by excellent speeches by Councillor Reid and Councillor Douglas. So in terms of keep this fairly short and stick to the points I want to make, is in this plan, I'm absolutely delighted to see that flexibility and learning run through the spine of the plan. In flexibility, we need to be ready to take advantage of all and any opportunities that arise. Now, a case in point in that is the Foregate Square. We had a project sitting ready to go, just sitting waiting funding, and that's how we managed to get that money. So we need more of these projects sitting shovel ready, and I'd like to see the team working on that. I'd really appreciate that. And the learning, I went along the learning visits to Paisley and to Western Bartonshire, and I thank the team for doing that for us. And what come right across to me is Kilmarnock is not unique with its issues. Towns up and down the length and breadth of Scotland and the rest of the UK are facing the same issues. But what is important is that we talk to each other, local authorities, working together, because we're facing the same problems, and working together is the way we'll improve our towns. And I'd just like to finish off with absolutely fully behind the plan, and I really look forward to the outcome of the consultation. So, thanks.
Yep. No, thank you, Councillor Barton. Absolutely. Thank you. Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Provost. Thank you very much for the paper. Some fantastic images in there and what a vision it is, and I'll remind folk it is a vision. It's ambitious, and like Councillor Maben, I'm not a town centre or a Kilmarnock councillor, but it will have implications obviously for some of my constituents that both work and travel to and from Kilmarnock, use the station, and Mersey, the wider rural area. It's a great vision, and I look forward to seeing what happens over the next 14 years. I've heard comments in this morning about the previous 60s and 70s, and I'm sure in 50 years from now, there'll be people sitting probably in chairs similar to these, or there might not be in 50 years from now, probably condemning us for the decisions that we make in here today, because it follows cycles for the Victoria days right through to there. We saw the new towns and implications of new towns. We've seen the box buildings and what they can do. As part of research, I could just back to your comment about building on old bricks. You don't build on new bricks. It's managing decline. You wait till the decline's more or less at the foundations, and you build for the foundations up. There's too many things that's went on in Kilmarnock, events that you're not in control of. There's the absent landlords that we spoke about. We've got the national retailers until our national retailers are at the town centre, and we can encourage the artisan and bespoke retailers back into the town. Then we'll know what that's going to look like. The town centre living is absolutely crucial, and whatever form that comes in and when it takes. And it's got to start soon. It's defining where that's be. And you're right, for the Kilmarnock councillors, there will be debate over where that starts. But this vision is not just for 14 years, it's got to go beyond the 14 years, and I get where we start with the 14 years. As part of my research I did, and please forgive me, I asked artificial intelligence what a town centre will look like in 50 years, because we came from the 70s to now. And if you go and look at that, God forgive, we're not doing our multi-storey, because it's going to be used for land and drone zone. We'll need to build another one according to artificial intelligence, because the deliveries are going to be there. We're going to have air taxis. We're not going to have cars in the town centre. So it's just to go back to what I said about in 50 years from now, there'll be people sitting in places like this making decisions again that they think they're getting it right, but we'll not always get it right. But see if we get it right for the folk that we're serving now, in that short term, and whether that's the next 20, 30, 40 years, then I'll be content with that. Going on to the consultation, and I think it's crucial, it's been mentioned about younger people and how they're involved in that consultation. Trying to get young people to take part in the consultation is really difficult. And I suppose my ask again would be, with something as important as we use our education services like the academies in the schools, and we allocate time in the schools for young people to feed into this conversation, because it's crucial. It's their future we're building, and we've got to try and get it right. We can try our best, I'm not saying we'll get it right, but we need to try our best for them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And young people in 50 years, like you say, aren't they going to be thinking about us so much today, about how do we move forward? Just like young people today, aren't they thinking about the 50s, 60s, 70s? They just want to know what's going to happen, how we're going to make recovery and move forward. Members, there has been a lot of discussion. Right, Leader, final say, go.
I just want to kind of conclude things. Provost, you're absolutely right in terms of tit for tat. We've had some wee bit of that today. And I usually a bite every time, and I'm really sorry about that. But honestly, it's a time, as you said, about looking forward. Love David Bowie, love the 70s, but my wains don't like him the same as I do. And I think we really need to look forward. I'm genuinely excited about what's in front of us, and I'm genuinely excited, you know, in terms of the feedback that we're getting, and looking forward to the feedback that we're getting from our consultees. I think this is one of the most important, in terms of the development of Kilmarnock, one of the most important steps that we've ever done since the East Ayrshire's inception in 1995. It well and truly is, and we've put our money where our mouth is into this, but we're wanting other folks' money to keep it company. So I'm looking forward to all 31 other councillors engaging with me and the team and putting our ideas forward. As many folks said, nobody's got the monopoly on ideas, and that's one thing we can all agree on, and look forward to the future. And to the folk out there that are going to invest in Kilmarnock, come down and see us. We're very much open for business, and let's hope for a brighter future for our town.
Yep, very nicely summarised, thank you. Members, are we happy to agree? Yep, thank you. Members, I am going to propose 30 minutes for lunch. Members of the public, you're more than welcome to also, unless everybody else has raided the canteen already. If we come back at 12:40, please. Thank you.